Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. OpenAPI and Swagger Ecosystem, Episode 3 of 19. Before you can map out a complex API, you need a blank canvas. But starting with the wrong basic structure will silently break your entire toolchain down the line. That brings us to the anatomy of an OpenAPI document. At its core, an OpenAPI document is defined strictly as a JSON object. You can write your file using JSON format or YAML format. Tooling supports both, and the underlying data model remains exactly the same. Because it maps directly to a standard JSON object, the formatting rules are rigid. Every field name is completely case-sensitive. If the specification dictates a lowercase field name, writing it with an initial capital letter means the parser will ignore it or throw an error. When organizing your project, you have a choice in document structure. You can define everything inside a single monolithic file. Alternatively, you can split your definitions across a multi-document structure. In a multi-document setup, a root file acts as the entry point and links out to external files using reference pointers. Whether you use one file or 50, the parser ultimately resolves them into a single logical JSON object in memory. Take a concrete scenario. You are starting a brand new project. You create a blank text file named OpenAPI.yaml. Before you attempt to design any logic, you want to establish a validated baseline. To pass a schema validator, your empty canvas must contain exactly two root-level fields. The first required field is called OpenAPI. Its value is a string that specifies the exact version of the OpenAPI specification you are using, such as 3.1.0. It is extremely common to mistake this field for the version of your own API. They are completely unrelated. The OpenAPI version string exists strictly for tooling compatibility. When a code generator or a documentation viewer opens your file, it reads this field first to determine which parsing rules to apply. If you state 3.0.0 here but use features from 3.1.0, your validation tools will fail because they are evaluating your document against the wrong rule set. Here's the key insight. The second required root field is where your actual API details go. This field is the info object. The info object provides the metadata for your application. We will not detail its internal contents here, other than to say it requires a title and its own version string. That internal version string inside the info object is where you define whether your application is at version 1 or version 2. Once your OpenAPI.yaml file contains just these two root fields, OpenAPI and info, you have a structurally complete OpenAPI document. You can run this file through a validator right now and it will pass cleanly. Establishing this minimum valid structure ensures your parser and toolchain are functioning perfectly before you introduce the complexity of actual routing logic. Thanks for listening. Happy coding, everyone.